Everybody, welcome. Good afternoon. I'm Marissa Sapega. I'm the Senior Director of Product Marketing here at Assembly Software, and thank you for joining us today for today's webinar, Adapt or Lose to the Competition, Real-World AI Strategies for Law Firms. Just a few housekeeping items before we start. This webinar is being recorded, so if you have to leave in the middle, don't worry, you will get a recording, and we also publish it to our Neos Learning Hub, where we publish all of our webinars. You can watch all of them at any time on demand. If you have any questions for our participants, please put them in the chat and we will address them at the end. Okay, well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists. John Lamuro.
Hi,
John.
thank you. Pleasure. John Lamuro. I am a medical malpractice attorney with Lamuro Law. We do pretty much every type of law, but I specialize in medical malpractice, and we're from Freehold, New Jersey.
Nice. Welcome, John. We're really looking forward to this webinar. And next we have Nick Bruderami.
Hi, I'm Nick Verderami out of Phoenix, Arizona. Like John's firm, we're a single event firm that specializes in all types of plaintiff's practice, from med mal down to auto. I specialize in catastrophic injuries and products liability primarily.
Nice. Thanks for joining us, Nick. And last we have McKay Farrell, who is our SVP of Product at Assembly Software. Welcome, McKay.
Thank you, Marissa. You just did my intro, so that was it. SVP of Product Assembly. I've been with Assembly for about almost 5 years now, really driving the Neos product, especially most recently, all of our AI development, all of those pieces are really a major priority and focus for us. So I'm really excited about this conversation.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, let's kick it off. So John and Nick, what prompted you guys to start using AI as legal professionals?
John, I'll let you kick it off. Go ahead.
Thanks. Sounds good. To be candid with you, the thing that kicked it off was when chat became popular. So as soon as OpenAI went to the masses, I was like, I got to check this out. What can it be? And then I immediately recognized that there was an opportunity to utilize it or at least stay on top of it where it would grow. So I think just like Nick, I started lecturing on this back in 21, and I've been kind of staying up to date with the new products and how things have generated new opportunities for lawyers, and now I don't know how you practice without it.
So nice. You're a very, very early adopter then. 2021, that's fantastic. What about you, Nick? What prompted you to start using AI?
Probably not as early as 2021. Part of it was at AAJ and things like that, seeing like people like John give talks on it. And it was just, I knew it was coming, right? One way or the other, it was going to be here, and it was either get on board or get kicked off the boat. And so from everything I was reading about it, I knew it was going to make life easier, and I knew it was going to be necessary at some point. Um, and so, like John, I started messing with chat and doing that in my day-to-day life. And then that started me down the path of thinking of ways that I could use it at work.
Mm.
And it was kind of by accident. I met with people who I thought did one thing, and it turned out they were in the AI field, and we were hiring at the time, and it was going to be able to change what we were hiring for. And so I just said, let's jump in.
Nice. It's interesting that you both started with chat. That's kind of like the gateway to AI. I feel like it's a very easy, natural interface. You're just doing chatting with a bot that hopefully answers your questions in an accurate way and gives you valuable information.
I always tell people it's the easiest way into the field is
Yeah.
just to get comfortable with creating prompts. Since the prompts make the product, the best way to learn how to properly prompt is to have that chat interaction over things that aren't work related and just get used to seeing what you can do.
Yeah, that's a really
I
good point.
I 100% agree, and I continue to use chat on a day-to-day basis. Um, I mean, I just pulled up on ChatGPT my last chats. I was installing a fan in my daughter's room, struggled to do it. I used chat. I was having a debate with friends about who the best NFL wide receiver was. I was buying seats to a football game at a new stadium and didn't know where the best place to sit was. So I literally, it's replaced Google for me, right?
Mm.
Whenever I go to Google something, I just use chat instead, whether it's ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I feel like that's happened for a lot of people. And so who did, just out of curiosity, who did it say was the best wide receiver? What's
Jerry
Chat?
Rice, which I was happy about.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to prove.
See, and
So
now you proved your
I did
friend
not
wrong.
ask it to double check itself. Once I got the answer I was looking for, I
Oh,
moved on.
done. Done. Awesome.
But
Okay, wonderful.
as a
So we've got
technologist,
oh,
what
sorry, McKay.
oh, I was going to say, as a technologist, one of the things that I think is really interesting is the adoption rates after generative AI actually came out. Because again, practical application of this is not just legal; it's everyday life. And we start thinking about this as from a, as a technologist, from a technology perspective, it's how to make your lives easier and also how to make our lives easier, my daily life. So when we talk about practical application, everything you said resonates. This group, I mean, we use it. I use it personally for a number of things because we've seen the results from AI, how much more efficient just the daily things happen and what you can actually get done in a short amount of time. So again, love hearing and love talking about this because it's not just legal. It's getting your hands dirty with AI, trying it out, experimenting, and see what it can do for
And
Yeah,
one,
and once you, sorry.
it's probably a good time to, I usually say this whenever I'm talking about AI, and it fits right here that one of the hardest things for about AI, like John said, is the prompts, is getting good prompts, but more so than that, thinking of when AI will be helpful. It's easy to say, hey, I need a recipe for dinner tonight. ChatGPT can come up with this. But in the professional context, it's a little bit harder to think of, oh, hey, what can AI help me with today? And my biggest piece of advice that I give everybody is you have to start using it in your day-to-day life. It's like weightlifting, right? It just, you get comfortable doing it and you get to heavier and heavier weights. Similarly, you get comfortable giving prompts, you get comfortable just defaulting to, can AI do this to me? And next thing you know, you're at work and the hardest part is no longer thinking about when to use it.
So we've talked about the ease of getting used to AI, putting it in daily workflows, anything that's outside of work. And how has that led to the successes, specific legal successes that you guys have seen when you're using AI?
Your turn, Nick.
So I think for me, we use it in workflows with demands. We use it in workflow. Medical chronologies are now, we get them faster. We don't have to go out and hire a nurse to do it. Um, and for me, a lot of the successes come with really voluminous documents, and I'm able to use chat functions within AI platforms to compare depositions against each other, to compare depositions against police reports or medical records or something like that. Um, and I've done motions for sanctions and things like that, where I just say, tell me every time in these three depositions that someone said, I don't know, or disagreed with one of the other depositions, and they give it to all of you, give it all to you. And that's, that's kind of like a control F, less so than AI. But then what AI will do is the successes we've had is it'll give you answers like the person didn't say, I don't know here, but their answer suggests that they don't know.
Hmm.
And the follow-up question hammers that down. And so it is, motion practice has been much faster with just, my day-to-day practice.
So it sounds like AI is it, not to say that it's intelligent, artificial intelligence, but the fact that it helps you interpret things. It doesn't just give you straight up, here's X, Y, and Z, here's it where it was in these depositions, but here are other areas you may want to look over where it indicates. And that's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, it will do just the here's the X, Y, and Z. I got an expert report in a tinnitus case where the expert said that the first time my client complained of ringing in his ears was like 4 months post crash. And so I just asked the chat function in AI to verify when was the first time my client complained in ringing of his ears. And there was one note by a PA, like in the hospital the night of, where he said, my ears won't stop ringing. And so I just sent a note to my expert for his rebuttal that just said, hey, just so you know,
Hmm.
this, they said this, but I found a record and it took me 30 seconds.
That's amazing. And how long was that document? How long would it have taken you if you hadn't had AI to be able to review that and find that yourself?
I mean, however long it would take me to read 4 months worth of medical records, right? I'd start at the moment of the
Oh,
crash, and then I would read up to when he
cool.
said he complained of it, and just pray that I found something in between.
Wow. I mean, that is a major, major success. I can't imagine how long it would take you to go through 4 months worth of records. What about you?
And to be fair, my paralegal would have done it, and then I would have done it to make sure my paralegal didn't miss it. So it's not
Right.
just my time, it saved two people's times.
Yeah, that's a great point as well. John, what about you? What successes have you seen?
It's fun to see what Nick was using it for because I'm like, yeah, comparing depositions and pulling things out of large documents. I mean, it's unbelievably powerful, the opportunities provided. But successes wise, I'm going to tell you the intake's been tremendous for me in the medical malpractice world. Because remember, I got to drop in Jersey, you got to get an affidavit of merit for every single matching credentialed person you're going to sue, which costs a lot of money. So you could have 20 different people involved in the care, you're getting 20 experts. So in the intake, I can literally upload the entire treatise of medical so that I could find the best book on emergency medicine, or I could put in all the trucking codes, or I could put in all the OSHA codes. I could do all this and I could get the intake call, come in and say, all right, well, this person's saying X, Y, and Z. Is this worth investigating? Because and find the standard of care applicable in this treatise or this book or this guidelines. Find me all the ACOG, and it will then search, read all of them, and spit out, here's what the standard of care is, and these are the things that were deviated from what you should there do, and yes, you should look into it. So it gives you a quick reference point that's phenomenal. Then with the depths, my favorite thing is the defense experts are usually frequent flyers. So I collect my deposition the other side. So I'll put in 100 depths from, like, say, Jay Goldberg, an OBGYN guy, and I'm going to say, hey, what did Jay say about Pitocin? So now instead of me having to read all of those depths, which I did every time I'd have a new one come up because I couldn't remember which specific one said what, it would search all of those depositions and give me page and line with a link there too to
Amazing.
verify what that person said. And I mean, it made my depths very powerful and responsive and get that information. But I'll answer your question of how long it takes. AI, when you get to the large documents, is not instantaneous. So you get used to the instantaneous response in most of what you do for, 1 to 50 documents. But when you get into 5,000, 10,000 documents, it's going to take about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And I'm very frustrated at that. So I go get a cup of coffee and come back because otherwise I'll start yelling at the computer. Uh, but my staff uses it to create the initial draft because I think of it this way, is speeding it up. It's easier to proofread than to generate. So if it can generate your documents and then you go, just like Nick, I check everyone's work. So just like he would check his paralegal, I'm going to check the AI. And
Oh,
that is an
100%.
obligation that we all have. So if I could speed it up and save the staff that extra step, and then I come in and I'm going to do that anyway, it is easier and faster and better for the case and the client. So those are the successes, speeding it up and making me more effective as a
Yeah,
practitioner.
that's fantastic. And I imagine that it also increases your satisfaction with your work. I'd
I,
like
I always love what I
know about
do.
you, but if I were a lawyer, I don't think that reading through 5,000 pages of deposition would be my favorite part of my job. Maybe you guys love it, but I feel like it probably, makes it just more fun because you get to practice the more interesting parts of law, right?
My favorite is the chat bots. So I
Yeah,
create artificial intelligent replications of the judges I'm appearing before, and then I
really.
simulate an oral argument where I could actually speak out loud, talk to them, respond to me in the vein of the particular judge or panel. So I'll upload all of their opinions. I'll upload any of the oral arguments that I have. Say you're going to take on the information about this person. They're conservative. They are liberal. They lean this way. This is what they say. Can you please challenge me? That's the
Oh,
most fun.
wow.
That's just fun.
Uh, that takes prep to the next level. Nick,
Yeah,
have you
that's
played around with
not
that
a
at all?
fast
That
thing.
sounds
That's a
awesome.
slower thing, but it's a better thing. So that's a
Oh, yeah. I love
Yeah,
it.
I've not dove that far in. Um, I
you
will,
love
I'll workshop conversations with it or emails, make this nicer. This is the
Sure.
point they're trying to make my point better. I do that in my personal life too. If I'm having contentious conversations or email exchanges with people, I'll just, make this firm but kinder kind of a thing. But I have not gone to the level of, here's the judge, pretend to be this judge and let's have this conversation.
Oh, you'd like it. It's just unfortunately it takes a long time to build a proper bot. Now I
Right.
love you say, because I'm Italian, I get hot-headed, and I really want to hit the defense when they're obstructing or hiding something from me. So I do the same thing. I'm like, here, I'm dictating this letter, make it sound professional, still get the point across, but taper me to sound a lot better. And it's
That's great. Tone it down. Tone down the John in this email,
correct.
please. Wonderful. All right, so now we talked about some successes. What about some missteps that you've had? I mean, for any technology, really, there's going to be some, ooh, you know what? That did not turn out the way that I intended it to. How did you guys respond to any of these missteps?
Well, I'll take that one since
Yeah.
well, it looks like we're going back and forth on it, so that's good. Missteps. There's always missteps with AI, whether it be hallucinations, whether it be your bad prompting, my bad prompting. When I learned it, you just can't stop at the first answer. This is the problem that most people have is they just accept the first product when in reality it's a continuation. You don't just go to your associate and say, hey, write a summary judgment motion. No, you say, write a summary judgment motion on the Smith case. Here are the issues. This is where you look. This is what you do. And then even when you give it that proper prompt and the associate comes back, you then redline it, fix it up, say suggestions. So the missteps are really just training me on how to be a better prompter and really to work better with the interaction. I never let anything go out unless I have personally verified every fact and the information therein. So luckily, we're not one of those where I can say that there's a misstep where it resulted in the 72 firms with sanctions and loss of their representation or turning in for ethics. That I really caution everybody about. But the missteps for me are really just I went down the wrong path because it was my own limitation on what I was putting in. And the way to overcome it was practice. I like that analogy with lifting weights. That's a really good analogy. You come in and you need to work yourself up because if you jump to something else, you can throw out your back and you're done. So I'm going to echo that sentiment.
I like what
I
you're saying about, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I like what you're saying about that because it really emphasizes how AI is a tool. You are not going to be replaced by AI because AI is there to make your job easier. And like you said, it's just like working with a paralegal or someone on your staff. Like you're going to redline, you're going to make edits, you're going to refine. And something that leaves your desk that AI has originally generated is never going to leave your desk without you 100% proofing it and making sure that this is tight and ready to go. What
And
about you?
it's interesting to me because most of the people that are the hardest to convert to AI are the ones that have the highest expectations for it. They're the people that the first time they see, it doesn't even have to be a hallucination, just something that's a little bit of a wrong answer, usually because of the prompt. Um, they're like, see, I knew this wasn't going to work. I don't want to use it anymore. But I think for our missteps, to John's point, fortunately, they've all been internal. We've caught them. And they're issues within the prompt, or we're pretty, because of how we do it, we're pretty good about protecting from hallucinations. But it's with frustrations of people that they get something that is either a demand that isn't personal enough or a disclosure statement that doesn't talk enough about the plaintiff's life. It focuses more just on the medical part of it or whatever it might be, right? And I always kind of think of it that if you're not, go back to the associate, right? If every time you get something from an associate, you just say, yeah, that's good, you have no red lines at all, you no longer serve a purpose. And similarly with AI, if you're not catching the occasional mistake, you're probably not double checking enough. And so whether it's in Lexis, and last night I was doing case law research in Lexis using their AI, and every case they gave me with a little blurb, I I didn't just say, okay, that AI tells, I still went and I read every single case. So that's, I think, where the missteps come is people, you get on a roll with it, you get lazy, and then it doesn't necessarily have to be something where you file a pleading with the court that has fake cases in it, but it could be something small, that just because you got lazy, you trust it, that you don't do that double checking that we would have done anyway before AI.
That's a really good point about double checking. And to your point, if an associate gives you something that's perfect, then you don't really serve a purpose. So it's great that you have the additional knowledge that you can use to make whatever AI gives you better and more accurate. McKay,
Yeah,
can you speak
I
to
think
challenges that Neos users may have had with adopting AI? Is this similar, the high expectations, or just the ongoing, like the weightlifting analogy, you need to learn how to give the best prompts to get the best answer?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things there, and it's really interesting what Nick and John both brought up, and they're different use cases, different workflows. But at the end of the day, once you start using AI, it's important to understand that data really matters. So there's a term that's garbage in, garbage out, right? If you're pointing your AI to a data set that is incomplete, you are likely going to get incomplete results back. You're not going to get super accurate answers. The broader your data set is, the better ultimately generative AI is. So where that matters, especially when we're talking about technology and specific use cases, is the overall data pool. Is it a very, very specific and focused technology? Are you just generating a demand, or are you trying to do something bigger with it? So that really depends and will matter in terms of your output and what you're trying to get out of it. So at the end of the day, with Neos AI, one of the things we did was say, how can we expand our entire, and it's for those of you who are not aware, Neos AI is our cloud-based case management platform. So within Neos itself, we have a massive pool of data, right? We have everything that's related to the case, a bunch of background information, other things. What we don't have is going to be a bunch of external research tools. We don't have all the things at Lexis, right? We're not going to go out. We're not going to go look for that. We keep those things contained intentionally. But we have chatbots that let you analyze documents, do all those things, which for us, when we say, okay, what are we doing with Neos AI and potentially some of those missteps, it's assuming or inferring that the data sets are going to be across the entire internet. That's not what this is. You don't want that, right? You want to contain your information. You want to make sure it's protected, and you really want to stay focused on what the specific workflow or task is. And that's basically how we built Neos AI, is to be workflow driven, to be able to be very purposeful as part of your everyday workflows. But those are the kind of the missteps that happen, is just that general knowledge up front about what AI is and how to use it. Once you get over that, and it's not hard to overcome those steps. Those are very easy steps if you've never used any form of AI, especially generative. Those are really easy things to overcome once you understand. So that's really what we see, is just that level of understanding that it's really against the data. We call it data interrogation. How are you interrogating your data? And when we say your data, we mean your data, the things that you have within the platform.
If I could jump, because Nick made a good comment about people being frustrated by the first question, the first one in, and there's a study that 94% of people that use AI accept the first answer as if it was gospel. So that's a scary concept. But one of the other things is not just about perfecting your prompting and also understanding what AI is. I find the biggest is you also have to accept that it's a growing field. So the tool that you're using on day one, if you're with the right AI company or the right services, they will continuously get better. And you have to understand that the services are growing along with you. So when you jump off quickly, you're going to miss out on the opportunities of what's next. But if you're also with a service that is not growing, because they have to grow, then you're also with the wrong platform. Because I mean, most places are on multiple generations of their product, because this is a live growth at a rate I've never seen in technology for a software presentation. I don't know how you guys feel, but you got to hang with it and be comfortable with the tools.
I just noticed the other day on ChatGPT, I don't remember which prompt I was talking to it about, but after I got the answer, it then said to me, and what I did to double check myself was, and this is brand new, like in the last couple weeks, it started doing this. To John's point exactly, it is growing so quickly, it's changing on a day-to-day basis.
That's actually a really great segue into our next question. What do you look for in AI? Obviously, having a tool that evolves, that is receptive to what is going on in the marketplace, how people are using it, how they want to be able to use it, that's critical. So, what else do you guys look for in an AI tool?
So I think for me, that's the first thing. Is it a tool that's growing, that when an issue pops up or an idea comes up of a new way to use it, that you're working with a team that you can get in touch with the products team and say, hey, is this feasible? Are we able to upload all the Arizona regs or all of these treatises so that we have that existing just in our case file, right? Are we able to do that with your product? And excuse me, for us being a smaller firm that really focuses on litigation, a lot of the AI that came out at the outset was demands and medical chronologies and stopped there. And so we were at the outset looking for, well, who can work with litigation as well? You know, we've got discovery requests, we've got motion practices, we've got all these different things beyond that. And for a lot of them, the answer was no upfront. So it took us back to question one, right? Of who's growing and who's got 2.0 coming out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, evolution is incredibly important. And also the idea that you're able to influence the evolution of the product. That's also incredibly important. I mean, you're the ones who are using it. So you're the ones who know what you need it to be able to do.
Well,
Um,
I find it interesting when you were talking about how it was in the beginning. Everything was just, oh, Megcron demand package, demand package. And none of them were really superb at that particular juncture when all of these things came out to us. And it really put me off to either of those two and really focus on the other benefits of AI. And then I started finding certain products that would provide a service to me that was beneficial. And I got hooked on Claude for me, which was an audio transcription product, and I still use it this day as one of my gospel go-to AIs, but it isn't built specific for law, but it has that opportunity. That product has continuously updated, but then Neo's updates, and then that provides me services and other things. So you have to keep an open mind, and you also have to know the product limitations. So if you did Adobe AI, it was limited first to 75 pages, even if you put a 300-page document and you didn't know that it stopped reading. Even OpenAI was limiting it to 350 and then 500 and how many tokens. Not many places allow you to do the 10,000 pages, 20,000. You have to break it into chunks or do something else, or they'll charge you money the more pages you get to. So you have to find out and be honest with the people that are, well, not honest, question the people to make sure they're being honest about what their products can do in the AI realm, because most of them are piggybacking one of the big LLM systems, and they are paying a VIG for each service. They're using an API to speak to the LLM and translate the data to be useful output. So they are paying a third party. So there has to be a charge. So are they charging you that charge plus the uptick? How is the interaction? What are you really doing? And because the last thing you want to do is buy into a platform for a long period of time and then get nickel and dime to the point where you're like, what happened? And I give up with all AI, and now you've lost this valuable service. And you also have to worry about confidentiality. When you get to an LLM and it's what's the training model, where's the information going, and where's it coming from, and are you using it for just like McKay was talking about a RAG-like system where you have it retrieved from a finite case file that you created? And are you having a knowledge base which you can continuously go back so you don't have to upload every single case? Here's a treatise on this, here's a treatise on this, or can you refer back to a central repository of information? It's a lot easier if I ask everybody, hey, who's Boo Radley? And everybody's like, I know the name, but what book was it from? That's confusing because you're asking a giant brain for information. And it's a lot easier if you hone it in and say, all right, here's 3 books. Find me this character, page, and line, and tell me what it is I need to know about it. So by looking at how they're providing the data, what they're charging, and what the capabilities are, you don't have to have that frustrating loss because you lose your staff. It is really hard to get them back on board to go back to AI. Once that negative, because I guess cognitive bias, like it's confirmation bias, right? They're biased of AI, and this confirms what they thought, and then block.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it sounds like it's just
I think
about
it's
doing,
interesting.
sorry.
So, oh no, you're good. I think it's interesting what you're talking about there because there's a number of things that from a technologist perspective that we care about specifically, you know, some of the things we've done obviously on the Neo side. But when we talk about how billing works, AI is moving very quickly, right? And so when it first came out, the token.
AI froze him and turned him
I
into a
was going to
statue.
say, I don't know
Yeah,
if that
no,
was me or
again.
him.
All right, okay, we'll get back to you. It sounds like, John, you are really just doing due diligence on your platform. Sorry, McKay, back to you. You froze for a second.
Oh, well, hopefully it's better.
Yeah.
If not, jump in. But at the end of the day, we see AI, obviously a very advancing technology, but we see that eventually it's going to be like spell check. It is just going to be everywhere within your platforms, your daily life. It's not going away. The sooner you can understand that and get that as part of your daily workflows, the better.
Okay, I think your internet is it's a little wonky. Um, Nick, why don't we go on to you? What do you look for in a tool for AI?
I mean, John has hit most all of it. The only thing I think I would add that we haven't already discussed is just interface ease.
Hmm.
Again, if you're getting, be it staff members or elder statesmen's attorneys in your firm to buy in and use it, because, John said the last thing you want to do is, buy in for a long-term contract and then need more than it's willing to give. The other worst case scenario is you buy in for a long-term contract and then nobody in your office uses it, right? And so ease of use, looking at a screen and understanding what I need to do to accomplish what I want to accomplish. I just because buy-in is not easy, I look for that.
That is actually another great segue
You're
to our
welcome.
next question. How have you gotten your staff to adopt? I mean, like John said, the confirmation bias is somebody is already like, ugh, I don't want to do AI. Like, it's just going to make things slower. It's too hard to learn, blah, blah, blah. And then they end up using it 2 times and they don't like the answers. All of a sudden, see, I told you, I'm not using this. So how do you get your staff to adopt?
Well, I think two things. One is something that you just said that I think is telling, and probably how the four of us on this screen talk. It's going to slow things down. I don't want to take the time to learn, blah, blah, blah. I focus on whatever that blah, blah, blah is. And okay, tell me what your actual concerns are about them. Because for me, I just push it to the side. Like, you're wrong. I know you're wrong. It's just going to take longer for us to get there. But but you can't do that if you want people to buy in, right?
Of
You
course,
got to
no.
meet them where they're at.
Yep.
And so I get their actual concerns, and then we look at, can AI do it? But the things I do it one. We're a small firm, so I'm able to do it one person at a time, usually with a task I know they have to accomplish. I've even raced. You go do it your way, I'll do it my way, and let's
Oh, I love
done
that.
first. Um, and then when I have successes that are like a holy cow, I didn't know that this was going to work, but it worked. I sent an email to the whole firm of, hey, this is what I just did, and it worked. And then the other one is I just nag, like, hey, are those records uploaded to AI yet? Hey, like, did you use AI for this or whatever it might be? But it's for us, because of our size, I can do it on a pretty personal level.
Hmm.
And and it's also worth pointing out that this is not something that should be in the past tense. I am constantly
Oh, of
needing
course.
to continue getting buy-in with
Yeah.
every new product that comes out, right?
Yep.
Hey, this is now something that can be done, having to get them to be willing to take that step out of their normal workflow to change it.
Have you tried to encourage them to use it outside of work to get them comfortable with it as well?
I have put it on. My dad is one of my partners, and his
Yeah.
partner of 40 years is his other. I've put it on both of their phones. I've
Oh,
put
nice.
Chat GPT on paralegals' phones. I physically go in and I download
Yes, yes.
the
I
app.
love it.
But
I tried.
my parents went on a Europe trip last summer, and my dad was so proud of himself because he made the whole itinerary in Chat GPT.
Oh, fantastic. And then once you have that win, it's like, oh, wow, this feels really good. This saved me so
Right.
much time. It was a great output. I'm going to start using this again.
Yep.
That's wonderful. What about you, John?
I told my mom to tell my dad about it. So I thank mom for it. But internally, we're a little bigger, and so we have. I found you find a champion within each
Mhm.
department. So somebody on the staffing level that you believe or we know has a tendency to be more tech savvy, faster on the output, quick on learning. Give them as much training as needed, reinforce just like Nick's talking about. That's great job. Good job on this. All right, that was successful. Awesome. I love the idea of the race. I didn't do that. But when you get those opportunities to give those people the power to help it's easier for them to go to another staff member than it is to me or to one of the equity partners or anybody in the
Right.
department. And they don't have to be scared or embarrassed by that tool. So if you can give them that option, and many of the platforms provide a help desk or a training academy or something that you can click on, and you tell your staff, you can, if you're doing that, it's good. Do it on work time. I don't care. We'll give you a chance to get yourself familiar with it. We'll get the work done, but you need to get this under wraps. And it's been very successful. We've had to do it a couple times. Yeah, it's not a give up. It's a, hey, are you still using this? Why did you
Yeah.
stop? Re
Yeah.
Let's address it. But those are it. We did for a while Tech Tuesday. We give a little example every Tuesday email of something to come out. But the best is always face-to-face success stories. It is.
Yeah.
And I'll just add, because John's point about, the trainings and the help desk and stuff like that, whether it's Assembly, Neos, or anybody else, most of, save maybe for ChatGPT, right, and Google itself, but most of the legal products that you're looking at, they'll be willing to do like a lunch webinar with your staff to answer questions, to show what, it can do. And so we do stuff like that all the time to just keep reinforcing it with the staff.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm hearing is that reinforcement is critical. You need to have champions talk about their successes. You need to reinforce this is a success. This is a success. If you didn't get the right output the first time, try it again. I think those are all great techniques for adoption. And I'd also like to ask McKay, what have you done with the Neos AI to make it easier for our customers to adopt Neos AI?
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so specifically what we do is we embed AI in workflows people already know. It's part of your case management system. We have a case chat. So it's right there. If you're uploading documents, you can actually analyze the documents, get a summary, extract key information from those documents and store it, and then chat, ask follow-up questions. And one of the things that we do, and we find it's very helpful, is we pre-build prompts. So we have suggested prompts that you can use. And it's not just our prompts. A firm administrator, actual attorneys or paralegals or anybody who is that champion within the firm can go in and pre-build prompts that show up in those suggested areas. So you can actually give that to your staff and say, go ahead and play with these, try these ones out, see your results, and continue to modify that over time. So there's a number of ways we think about that when it comes to implementing it in the platform to help drive up that awareness and actual use of it. But at the end of the day, everything that Nick and John said is more just go play with it. Just
Yeah.
find something
Yeah.
and go play with it. And the actual adoption ramp on it in terms of a individual user being able to understand what's going on is very, very quick compared to most technologies. Just go play with it. That's the thing.
Yes. And again, you see a minor success and that motivates you to, oh, let's try this again. Oh, let's try this again. And that's what happened with me. I mean, I use ChatGPT all the time for work. And as soon as I started seeing these little successes, it was like, this is amazing. And now ChatGPT goes down. It's like, oh man, it's a real bummer. Like, I love this tool. Okay, so what do you guys think? We've heard a lot about what you look for, the successes you've seen, how to get your staff on board. Why is it so imperative for legal professionals to adopt AI, in your opinion? I mean, you guys, John, you've been on it since 2021. Nick, you've been on it for a few years. Like, what have you seen in your firm and the difference between your firm and other firms that are not using AI?
I think the simplest form is kind of what you alluded to in the beginning. If you're not using it, you're going to be replaced not by AI, but by the firms that are using AI. I mean, it's a game changer in the practice field for your staff, for you, for your work product, and for your clients. I'm a better attorney because of it, and that is hard to say because I read, I work, I do everything I can to sharpen my skills, and this still enhances them further. I can't imagine how a firm could survive once we this continues to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, to your point about how long it would take to go through 5,000 pages of deposition or to create medical chronologies or demand letter summaries, all of these things, they take hours and hours and hours of time. And this is time that you are able to spend on other things because you're leveraging AI to decrease that time by what? 80%, 90%. That's got to be huge.
It is, but I find the instantaneous result even better. So if I'm
Mm,
taking a deposition and the doctor says something like necrotizing fasciitis and I have no idea what that is, I can't say, all right, let's stop the dep and come back later and do this again and research it and go. Whereas if I have that opportunity, I literally could go to the side of the computer, an iPad, whatever's running my chat, say, hey, what is this? Give me some questions about it and let that run and continue it. I mean, it's instantaneous knowledge. And then you obviously don't just regurgitate what's there, but you start to learn and you start to understand what's happening. And at a rate where you're not wasting days. That's what I find. It's days. Reading a textbook is dry. It takes forever. You got to take breaks. You're going to miss stuff. And I'll be candid with you. If I had 100 depths of Goldberg, I've read a bunch of them, but never would I make it through all of them each time I had a trial with him. So
yeah.
this would be it's impossible. It's impossible for a firm to do what Nick and I are doing if they're not adopting AI.
Yeah, it sounds like it's making you a better version of yourself, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's hard for me to say how we're separating ourselves from other firms by using it, only because I'm not in. Yeah, I get a motion from another firm. I don't know if they used AI or not, right? I'm not in those other firms knowing if they're using it. Um, I do know, though, to the time point from conversations with people, just in stress levels, like how stressed they are about something that they have to do. You can usually tell if they realize they have AI. I always think of this example, and I don't even remember what it was, because it was the middle of the night. I had a swamp day coming up, and I realized something that I needed to double check or do. And I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, panicked about it. Like, I need to start my day now. In order, there's just not enough hours in the day. And I realized I could use AI. So I set a reminder, because I knew I wouldn't remember when I woke up. Like, for the real world, I set a reminder on my phone to do it, and I had whatever it was I needed to do. It was done by like 8:15 that morning. And it was just because I was able to dive into the chat function in AI, have the conversation, found what I needed to find, and I was done.
I mean, that is an enormous benefit. I mean, legal professionals, you guys have ludicrously high rates of burnout and stress, and a tool that can not only make you a better lawyer, but also reduce your stress. It sounds like a no-brainer. So obviously you guys are taking full advantage. That's great. Um, so, McKay, I did want to ask what we talked about what you're looking for in an AI product. And both Nick and John, you guys mentioned that the evolution, listening to customers, being able to change with marketplace demands. So, what is set for the future of Neos AI? How is Assembly responding to all of
Yeah.
these?
Great question. So first and foremost, we should talk about kind of how we got to where we're at right now. And again, we're a case management platform, and our ethos was building in AI into the workflows people already do. So as part of that, we have a couple of things. We've got data extraction, so I can analyze a document or a series of documents and extract the data, so my staff doesn't have to go in, or I don't have to go in and input a bunch of separate information and all these things. We tie it back to the case, tie it to the document, etc. So that's kind of the first piece of that. The second one is, again, how do I analyze a document and do something else with it? Somebody asked in chat, and I know we're going to get to the questions here shortly about agentic AI. Agentic is really basically process something and then do something else with it, do another action. That is really important for us, especially as we're looking at the future of AI. So we've been rolling out a bunch of essentially triggers and actions based off of those things. So you extract the information, you get in your case management. Now what? Now I want to build a summary on it. Now what do I want to do? I want to schedule with it. I want to do different things with it. Those are critical when we start talking about the future. So a lot of that we already have in Neos today. Some of that is coming out soon. The other piece of that, and we talk pretty in depth about AI chat. That's critical for us, because not just for us as Neos, but as an industry. So the way that we built that in was to be able to handle a bunch of different scenarios around cases. It's open-ended in the respect that you can go in and you can ask for very specific information related to a very specific document type, or you can open it up to more broader questions like analyzing or acting as opposing counsel or doing different things. You can do that within that chat context, and context is critical for AI. And that's something that we constrain intentionally within Neos, is so that context is correct based off of everything that we have. So The other things that you can do with it today is taking those summaries, taking those chats, and actually outputting into documents. So you can create depositions, or sorry, you can analyze depositions and create the notes from that and use them for different documents. You can extract from medical summaries and put that information in your demands. You can do all of these things. It's built to scale and to configure, which is incredibly important when you're thinking about how you're going to be implementing AI in the future. And when we talk about future state, all of those things are critical. So for us, kind of the next future piece is, what else do you do with that data? How else can we improve and optimize the workflow? And for that, we really lean on something we call IVOC, which is integrated voice of the customer, where we get that continuous feedback. And this, John and I have had plenty of conversations on AI. This is actually us working with our customers to identify what workflows work best with AI, where we can extract the most value for the firms in the short term and then longer term. And then ultimately it's going to be, without giving away kind of proprietary things here, we're really leaning into more ways to interact with data, more ways to do things faster, and ultimately to verify and check to make sure AI is right. Those things are critical to us. It's critical to our industry. And those are the things that we're focused on, not just in the upcoming months, but over the next year, 5 years, even 10 years. So that's where we're going.
I am so excited about the future of the AI. I mean, I've seen what customers are doing with it right now, and it's outstanding. So super pumped to see what you guys are going to release in the next, year, 2 years, 5 years. We do have some questions. We have about 15 minutes left, so I would like to address these questions. First, what AI platforms are you using for medical chronologies and demands, and how do you balance any HIPAA issues?
John, go ahead.
So it's different because I do MedMal, so the Medcrons are not what the normal Medcrons. So I know that my team of motor vehicle guys, they're using, obviously working with Neos, working with Anytime, those products to get that. I find, because I'm minute by minute, it's not as perfect yet, all of the products out there. So I still do what Nick does, read it myself to go through. That said, the demand packages, that's again, Neos, to put out what you're doing on looking through the product you have, because my case is already there. Like this was a shortcut. I don't have to re-upload to another platform. That's always a nice thing. So those two, I probably use less than Nick does, going through it, because for MedMal, I trust my own two eyes, and right now I don't think all of the AI is to the intricacies of the flow sheets are set up too wrong in those circumstances. So you have to know your limitations of the AI products. I'll continuously try them, and I continuously go back to those products. But I know the motor vehicle, where it's 1 day each ortho visit, they work great. It's the hospital records that have a little bit of problematic. I don't know. How are you seeing it, Nick?
I agree. I think the original issue was that a lot of the Medcron AI companies were doing it one facility at a time or one doctor at a time. And so then you've got like all the ortho visits and you've got all these neurological visits, but they're not intertwined. Now that is sort of changed. We'll use it for med mal cases, but not as the sole medcron, like you said. Our med mal folks will go through everything. We send it a lot of times. We need the same affidavit, right? And so a lot of times we will send it as something just to help our expert. I've sent medcrons to mediators to make their review of cases easier. I've actually given mediators access to my AI platform so they go through and use the chat function and stuff like that. They appreciate it. I would like to think it lowers their bill, and it really enables them, like you're talking about in deposition. If one of the lawyers is saying something, they can double check exactly what we're saying. So I agree that for the med mal, it is still playing catch up a little bit.
Okay. And
It's
McKay,
like
when you
Carrie had a follow-up question just around limiting PHI
Oh,
being.
yeah, and that's whoever you use. That's a conversation that you have to have. Most AI that we're using in the legal field, we should be, and that's part of the reason it's not going to be free, right? You can't put it on ChatGPT. You ask ChatGPT if it's HIPAA compliant. At least last time I asked it, it still told me no. And so you have to use one of these closed universes that they have all the security stuff that John knows all the words better than I do. But the essence is if it's a closed universe where it's not retraining the LLM out in the public, then that's what you need to know with whomever you use.
Yeah, and I will say on the Neo side, we have a net zero retention. We don't train models outside of what we're using. So that's important. That's a very good
And
point. It's good to know.
most of the companies, whether it's Neos AI, even up Supio, Anytime AI. I mean, you name them. Most of them are going to lead with that when they talk to you because they know we're all so concerned about it. Um, I've I've met with all of them. I continue to meet with them just because it's always changing and adapting. And I use Supio, and Supio knows I'm always meeting with other companies because if they're not going to keep up, then I'm going to move, sort of a thing. And anybody you talk to is going to lead with HIPAA.
Well, the good ones should. There's a
Sure. If
there.
they didn't, then it's a quick
The red
meeting.
flag. Yeah, don't use that company. What to look for in a AI product if they don't talk about HIPAA,
Right.
strike them off the
Or if
list.
you ask them and they say, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, no, no, no. That's a major red flag.
It's funny. What do you ask about? I ask about retrieval augmented generation. Are they going to limit it to my case, and are they able to give me a verification link directly to the answers, or do I have to read the entire item to find out if it's true or not, which doesn't save me any time? So there's different breakdowns. Is there a person involved verifying it? Do I need that? Am I paying extra because I don't like that? There's a lot of things you have to find what's best for you and your firm and what you trust the best. But I agree. It's always open for discussion because the minute you close your mind, you've really just sold your firm out and you've
Yeah.
become stagnant.
Yeah, you're limiting your firm essentially because everything is evolving around you and all of a sudden you're just not adapting anymore.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, we have another question. Have either of you started using agentic AI? Seems like intake would be a great use case. And also, if you could explain what agentic AI is, not sure that I think I know what it is, but
Well, McKay gave a pretty good
Yeah, I was
explanation.
going to say, McKay, if you just want to do that again.
Yeah, it's basically you use AI. In this case, you're using a large language model, you're feeding it with something, and then it does something else with the output. So
got
almost like a
it.
trigger and action with the actual AI output. In this context, that's what agentic AI really
Okay.
affects.
And I would say that a lot of the softwares that we use as a community, all the way back to the, needles and stuff like that, with task prompts, that essentially was like the original iteration of agentic AI. Um, for us, I've toyed around with it. We don't use it as much only because, and I've had this discussion with all the vendors, right? It doesn't work super well in litigation. Every scheduling order is different, and then you have to amend the scheduling order. Every motion the judge wants replies or oral argument at a different time. Now, if you're in a primarily pre-litigation firm or a pre-litigation group within your firm, I think for that it works really well or could work really well. I haven't done it, but when I look at it and analyze it, I say, if we were a different firm, this would absolutely work well for us. But because we're in litigation, I mean, my paralegal wants control of my calendar, right? And if I were to tell her that Neos or Filevine or anybody has control of my calendar, I'd have a fight on my hands. So we haven't used it that much. I don't think it's there yet.
I agree it's not there yet, but there is some things that are intriguing to me with the newest version of Agentic, especially with OpenAI, where I could say, look, I'm going to leave my computer on, you take over, go search the internet for every article that has to do with this. Go, spend the day looking for something that's a scholarly journal addressing B or A. Those I can visualize the future of that becoming a powerful tool for litigators. Also buying a second computer so they can run those things throughout the night. But it's still, I mean, you still have to verify everything. I don't care how good it gets at collecting. It's going to
That's
collect.
what makes me nervous, right? Even if it's like, hey, after this I put notes in and it reads my notes and knows that means that defense lawyer needs an email saying, hey, I have authority to offer this much now. I still want to see that email before it goes out, right? And so, but it is coming. I mean, I read something a couple of weeks ago that Google is going to soon release where they will schedule appointments for you with doctors and stuff like that, that you just search for a doctor and one of the assistive AI questions will be, do you want us to do the one that gets online or makes the phone call and schedules the appointment for you? So it's
Those,
coming.
those things might be adopted in life well before law because the
Correct.
risk is just too high and the ethical obligations. I spent a lot of money and time to get my law degree. I'm not going
You
to
don't want to lose it on. Yeah.
because I'm trying to save time. I mean, that's not the
Mhm.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, wonderful. Next question, does your staff worry about you unintentionally replacing them with AI?
I,
Yes, I think. I
yeah,
mean,
I actually had that. Like, if you had it, because I haven't seen fear from them. More just replacing the steps they take. They become
Mhm.
more responsive, more so than replaced.
yeah, I think that everybody's worried about it. I think I'm worried about it, right? And I'm always asking myself, what do I provide that this doesn't? And I always have a good answer, right? And so that's one reason it was specific to us though, is because when we got I mentioned I use Supio because I've used them for so long. When we got involved with them originally, I was in the middle of a hiring search for a pre-litigation paralegal, and we called off the hiring search and did that instead. And that was an immediate conversation with my staff. Like, hey, we were going to replace her, now we're not. Who's next? And I explained that to the firm example that John gave, right? You're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who knows how to use AI. And AI is not our sixth paralegal. We've got AI, and now all of you can take on more cases and spend the same or less time working on them and have the same productivity. And so I always tell them, though, I want you to do X, Y, and Z with AI so that you can, it's another brain. And now you can do more advanced paralegal work or more advanced. You can no longer just answer phones. Now you're doing administrative assistant. It enables everybody to take a step up in their career and do more complicated things.
That's actually a really great point that we always try and tell people that, it's going to make you more, it's going to amplify whatever you're doing. So it's going to make you more productive. It's going to make your day smoother. It's going to make your life easier, but it's never going to replace you. I mean, everything that we've been talking about in this entire session, the fact that it's a tool, you can't trust it for the final output. You need to continuously refine how you engage with it because you're the lawyer. You, at this point in time, you are far more intelligent than the AI, and you need to be that final set of eyes and the instigator. What prompts are you using to get the right information and the output that you want from AI?
There was an article, this had to be 10 years ago in either the Atlantic or New York Times or something about like that, about Nordic countries. I think it was maybe Sweden that was using robots for more and more jobs. And the biggest surprise of the whole thing was that their unemployment rate didn't go up because it wasn't getting rid of people's jobs. It was changing their job because they still
Yeah.
needed somebody to
Yep.
maintain the robot.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I think I've read comparable articles that like the jobs that people are getting now are, quite frankly, it seems like they're more interesting because they are overseeing, they're managing these robots and they're not actually putting the widgets together themselves.
And we've seen that too. It's a really good way to actually promote career advancement for a lot. Like, let's say you have some paralegal that might, be a little bit hesitant. That's where you can say, this is a good opportunity to upskill, to up level just by playing with AI, getting comfortable with it, bringing it, using it as a skill set, because this is where it's going. Job's not at risk, but the skill set needs to evolve, right? That's
Right,
just
right.
constant growth.
To adopt, to be able to use AI, to compete with everyone else who's using AI. Okay. What about how to use AI to review large volumes of medical records, how to search/compare depositions in AI, and how to use AI in Neos to do a demand? So,
So this would be a whole demo that I'd love to show. The first two are, well, all of them are easy. The first two, we have a way to analyze documents. You can bring in bulk documents, you can ask all sorts of questions, and you can constrain it, ring fence it. A lot of that's with prompts. We have pre-built prompts that you can say, all right, give me a medical chronology, give me these things, group the chronology by provider, group it by date. You can go deep on some of those areas. So it's very simple. It's drag and drop, click a button, let it roll. You can do the same thing with depositions. We've got a bunch of pre-built prompts there that you can even look for credibility. You can look for people who've or statements where people have admitted fault, etc. So it really just depends on what kind of questions you're asking. But then the demand side is a little bit different. We have document generation tools that allow you to bring in AI. You can use your own templates and then use something we call AI tags that you can modify, adjust. You can change all the tone we were talking about earlier. You want to make it more formal. You want that to be shorter, more aggressive, etc. You can do all of that on the fly, and that's normally done when you're actually generating a document. You select the data you want to use, you select the document type, but all those things are really easy. You should definitely contact us and let us kind of walk you through it and show you how it's good stuff.
Thanks, Vika. All right. So we have a question. Exactly what AI do they use? And I think you guys have spoken to it throughout. Like, John, you said you use Plod, you use Neosea, obviously. Nick, you use Supio. What other tools, what other AI tools are you using?
I mean, I use ChatGPT,
Right,
I
right.
use
Okay.
Supio, I use Lexis and Westlaw each have their own
Mhm.
kind of AI. I use that. I'm a big fan of a product called Notebook LM.
Love it.
Yeah, right. It's great. It'll take loads of information and create a 15-minute podcast for you. So I would suggest people use at least check that one out. But that's pretty much, and I'm always playing with new ones.
Yeah, same. I'll add like obviously Claude's the number one, then
Mhm.
it followed up. Chat's guaranteed. ChatGPT, Neos, Anytime AI. God, Notebook. I wouldn't even throw that in. That's a good one, man. I use that. You caught me off guard on that one. Sometimes you don't think we should have made lists, but it's really don't overwhelm yourselves by checking everything. Find things that you can hone your skills on that will do the best job for you in a particular area. Like Plot only does audio. Therefore, that's the best one I'm using. But you see AI built into Zoom, built into all these different platforms. Find the thing that's best for you and get to know it before you just jump to the next thing, think it's going to be better than the last. Just because something's pretty doesn't mean it's perfect.
Mm.
That's another thing I use, and there's a ton of products that do it. That Zoom has their own. I use one called Fathom that will record meetings and then send you a transcript and have an AI chatbot that you can ask questions about. It'll send out to-do lists and stuff like that. So when I sign up new clients now, I don't have my paralegal and assistant in my meeting anymore because they got better things to be doing. We don't need all three of us in the meeting, and then they both automatically get a video, a transcript, and a to-do list sent to them.
Oh, I can jump in there that when we talk about these things, some of these names are overlapping. Like I'm saying Claude with a P, and there's an AI called Claude with a C.
Yeah.
Right? And so those get confusing sometimes. And the same thing with the different products out there. People talk about Copilot. Well, there's different versions of Copilot. I mean, there's the Microsoft, there's the other one. Find the ones, do your own research. You can listen to us. I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. I know Nick will be as well if you have any clarity
Yeah.
of things. But what services we use, I think we both hit them, and it's pretty funny. We use the same ones. That shows you.
We're
You
double
know,
checking each other.
that's it. That's it.
Okay. Also, collateral suggestion, add a limitation to your medical authorization given to the defense expressly prohibiting any PHI data or records from being uploaded to any open LLM.
Yeah, this is a common thing that's starting to happen, people adding that language in. They shouldn't be doing it anyway. So most of the time, the adversaries, for me in MedMal, they literally work for the hospital system and medical providers. So they are bound by HIPAA where lawyers are not. So they should never be putting it into an open LLM system, especially with medical records. That would subject them to public disclosure, private fact, common law, and subject them to a ton of not just HIPAA violations, but actual litigation claims against them. But in motor vehicle and other fields, it's great you put it in. It's hard to police though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The enforcement of that would be get on, I guess, ChatGPT and ask it if your client has ever broken his arm. Like, you know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah, and you can stop them from an LLM, but you can't stop them from a RAG. So
Right.
so and people that don't know the retrieval augmented generation of the different versions, how are you going to do that with your adversaries? To be fair, most of them have no idea what we're talking about.
Sure.
So you can't limit them, and the mistakes that are getting caught are really just in research and providing, not in terms of medical review and context. So policing's hard. But ethics again, you have to rely, and there's a little bit of truth and honesty in our profession that should preclude people from doing the wrong thing. And I guess putting it in doesn't hurt. I don't know if it helps, but it doesn't hurt. So what's the harm in putting it in you? If you feel comfortable with that in the authorization, go for it.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Have you seen Neos or other AI tools handling case documents that are under seal? And if so, how do you make sure that in response to prompts on unrelated matters, the AI tool never reaches conclusions on the basis of information subject to such restrictions?
Well, that if you're having that happen, you're combining cases. You're having something in one case being pulled up by another case, and you better check your system on the retrieval augmented generation and what's going in. So the more data in, if you're putting everything into one venue, that's the problem with the LLMs. They're looking at millions of things and pulling from anywhere and everything every second. If you can focus it in and you're using it, so Neos has a RAG system built into the system, so it's retrieving only from what you said to look at, which would be case based. So if you're sealed in one case, it's not going to go look at the other case to get it. Okay, you can probably tell me the more technical aspects of it,
Mhm.
but if you restrict to that one, you don't have to worry about it pulling from the other.
That's right. Yeah. So we call it ring fencing, right? Like we ring fence all of that. But even if you're within a document, I don't know why you would, but let's say you have something under seal in a specific document, but other information in the document is not sealed, then what you would do is actually prompt for that to say exclude X pages that are in this range from any conclusions. You can actually tell the large language models or the AI responses to explicitly exclude information or explicitly do not hallucinate or explicitly do not make up information. That's something that you don't hear a lot about, but you can actually fill that in with prompts. And it is very, very effective. We've tested thousands of times on this, and it works really well.
Nice. Okay. I've recently used ChatGPT to summarize the deposition by uploading it to the platform. I asked several specific questions, and it gave me an actual quote with a page and line number that upon review did not exist. Are you finding this as well?
I'd never have to use chat for the reviews because of the problematic. It's pulling from too many places. That's why it's the giant brain versus the small brain. You got to go to a platform that limits it, at least because it's unreliable. Chat's going to make up things because it's built to be a chat bot. It wasn't built to be an answer bot. It was just to chat with you and to give you an answer that makes you happy. I would never use it for that purpose. I don't know about you, Nick, but
The only time I ever use ChatGPT at work is when I need a letter drafted.
there you go.
That's
Nice.
it. Please
Okay.
draft a letter to my client, defense attorney, whomever, saying, and it's simple things. We've closed your file. Like, you know what I mean? Things like that.
Yeah, it's a great word editor or word choice or thesaurus or something like that, but I have Neos to do the other stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you really need like a tool that caters or is tailored to exactly what you're trying to do. ChatGPT is kind of a generalist, and also it's not secure. So make sure they're using one of these other tools that these guys have talked about. Okay, please share ideas or tools to save prompts for consistent reuse. McKay, you might want to take this one.
Yeah, in Neos we do that. I mean, that's just something that we have as configuration. So you can go in, edit prompts, modify prompts, and they get stored as suggested for your staff if you want to include that for your staff. There's permissions around all that, so you can say yes or no or push them out to who you want. I think that I know there's other tools that do that, so I don't want to just talk about Neos here, but Neos does that. It's very simple. That's the long and short.
What about you guys? Other suggestions for saving prompts that everybody can use if you're not using Neos AI?
I mean, I hate prompts. I like that's one of my biggest things is if a company had, I mean, that was I don't use Fileline specific case AI. We use it for case management. We don't use it for their AI. And my biggest beef with it at the outset was I had to go in and pick at the very beginning what 15 questions I wanted asked for every single document, and that just didn't make any sense to me. I much prefer a chat function where I can ask because the questions change on a case by case, document by document basis, and so I can't stand pre-built prompts.
So I 100% agree. The pre-built prompts are not my thing, but I've been doing it so long, I think I've gotten used to appreciating what a good prompt is based, and therefore I can't replicate it because it's just me talking into the chat in a proper function. I do know that people love a prompt library because some people aren't creative enough to have that conversation. So I've noticed that people in litigation, attorneys doing depositions, attorneys doing that listen to the answer, repeat the questioning, try to get something better, they're better at prompting. Whereas some staff do not have the training to kind of have that interaction with a person, let alone that type of interaction with a machine. So by having a couple example prompts that pop up, either through the library or in response, many of these places when you're in the chat, it'll go, here's the next suggested question. It gives them a thought process on how to do it. I'm not against having a library, but I'm against having a library for me. I agree with Nick.
Okay. All right. And then we have a few questions on just different AI tools. Have you guys used Copilot or Motion or Preamble or Eve? Any of these?
Which Copilot, Microsoft's or the other? But no, it's okay. Look, I've seen them all. I don't think this is the venue or proper to give, and it could be stale once it goes up on it that these products switch and change. I think I've told you what I believe is the best at now. Those are the ones I use. I use Neos anytime. I use Claude. I use ChatGPT, all for what they do the best. I don't think I would put them down, but I will tell you I'm not using those and I've seen them. So you can pull whatever you want out of it. But if it may be the best for you and not the best for me.
And like, for example, I don't use Motion. Um, the reason I don't use Motion though is because we don't want to use AI period for our calendar. So to John's point, if you know you mess around with Eve and it's great for the medcrons you need, then go with Eve. Copilot, I'll occasionally have Microsoft draft me an email. I don't like it. I send it on my own. I like it. I hit send. So you just whatever works for you. There's really no wrong answer until you can't take it anymore.
Okay. One last question. These attorneys do litigation. I only do labor law and arbitrations. Is there an AI platform specific to this area and type of law you might recommend?
I mean, AI is AI. You could use it for anything. We're just talking litigation because we know the best. Would there be a specific document generation for those? It doesn't matter because if AI is built based upon your examples, your template, your documents, then it will do what you want. I don't think it's really matters what field you're in the way I've looked at it because I've seen, I mean, we have corporate here, we have real estate, we have wills and estates, we have family law and criminal. All of them use the same stuff that I'm using. And it's based upon data in, data out. Bad data in, bad prompting in, prompting out. It's not replacing us, it's not doing our job, but I can see it really helping in labor. If I was sitting there and thinking of a way to do it, I know Neos could do it. I mean, I know some of the other ones could do it. I don't know a specific platform aiming at those types of users, but I also don't go to those conferences and I don't study up. So I'm sorry I can't help you, but I'm pretty
That's a
sure.
really good point about going to conferences and looking at events and, any type of online communities that are specific to these practice areas. They will be able to give you amazing recommendations. But to your point, it's all about the workflows. So if the workflow matches what you're trying to do, then it doesn't matter if it's an AI that is, marketed towards a specific practice area. Okay, so thank you guys. I know that we've gone over time, but really, really appreciate you. And thank you everybody for joining. I hope that you found this valuable. Again, it is being recorded. We're going to send it out in an email. And if you have additional questions, feel free to send them to alessandra@assemblysoftware.com and we'll see if we can get those answered for you. So thank you, Nick. Thank you, John. Thank you, McKay. Hope everybody has a great day. And I will, I'm going to cut it off now. So have a great day, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Marissa. Thanks.